Hello everyone, welcome to your weekly video. We're getting ready to go into the world of autism, and wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about where we're at so far. We're halfway through the course. This is week 7 coming up, so we've already gone through about half the course. And from what I can tell right now, many of you are doing quite well in class. Just keep up your good work. I know it can be tough with jobs and family and everything else, and many of you have more than my class, so I have to take that into consideration. Last week, it looks like right now, as I'm looking at the grades for your quizzes, it looks like mostly 9s and 10s right now. So great job there. Looks like we have about half the class left, so hopefully the rest of you will do just as well as these here. And looks like I do still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I do have 5 different ones yet that still need to get on your discussion. But remember, it's very important that you post your initial post by Wednesday or Thursday, at least by noon. So some of you will be looking at a little lesser points because they aren't getting turned in on time. So make sure you try to get that put together. But all in all, I think all of you are doing fairly well. Let's see, this week you will have the discussion, you'll have the quiz, you will have a PowerPoint on there. Don't forget that your DI lesson plan is due on the end of next week. You should have already been looking into that. It's been discussed the last 2 weeks, actually probably the last 3 weeks. Make sure that you use that lesson plan template that's in the folder that's Differentiated Instruction Lesson Plan. There are 2 different ones. We'll be talking about the collection later on today, but the Differentiated Instruction Lesson Plan is the one that's due. Make sure you listen to the audio portion and can follow the PDF document. I've had some issues with students changing and adding things where they don't need to be added. So make sure that you listen to that. And if you have trouble, definitely give me a call. Text me. I'll talk to you. I'll find a way to get back in touch with you so we can make sure that you get that done right. Then we'll talk about the Differentiated Instruction collection later on today. You should be by now probably finalized with your observation. If you have not, and you're probably behind right now, remember that's something that has to be done. So if you're having trouble getting your observation, which at this point my understanding is all of you have had your observation scheduled and there are no problems, but if there have been some problems developing yours, email me ASAP today and we can try to get that taken care of, because that will come up quicker than what you think also. So try to stay on track this week. These next few weeks you'll have a couple big assignments, so it's very important right now that you get on track. Don't procrastinate on the lesson plan. Next week will be a 2-chapter week, so you will have double what you need to do, and that's not going to be good if you haven't got your Differentiated Instruction lesson plan started by then either. As far as assignments, I want to talk about the Differentiated Instruction collection. This is due at the end of the semester, so you have a little bit of time, but each week you will have some things due. I will be monitoring your progress. But this is where the program, we talked about Pinterest about 2 weeks ago. We talked about OneNote and Evernote. One of those 3 is what you need to use for this collection. It's up to you. I've had people use different ones, but one of those 3. Then you need to look about 6 items each week to add to your collection. There should be at least 5 websites, 5 lesson plans, and 5 explanations of differentiated instruction in each of the categories. You may find some other categories that you can use also, but you will have at least 25 total items in your collection by the end of the time. Then you will write your top 10 list. You will get to go through all of the items that you found for differentiated instruction, and you will make your top 10 list. And on that top 10 list, you will tell me what the item is, you will tell me where you found it, and then explain to me why it's on your top 10 list. And the explanation should be at least 150 words. Then you will turn in the top 10 list and with me at the end of that time. When all of you turned in the collections, I'll also try to create a class list. Now, this may be a little bit after the semester is over. It kind of depends on how quickly I can get everything graded. So let's see here. Have fun with this, number one. This assignment here is probably the one that I received the most comments on in a good way, that they really liked the assignment. They thought it really helped them have a better understanding of differentiated instruction, and also created a better way of doing some of their lessons. You're actually creating and finding ways to better yourself with differentiated instruction in your area. So there's going to be different ideas come up. There are going to be some that are in music, some that are in art, some that are in business, some that are in nursing. You all will have different ideas on differentiated instruction. But each week, these next few weeks, you need to go ahead and add an item to your collection. And then, like I said, after you, hopefully Monday, you'll go ahead and make your decision on which one, and then email me, and we'll get in contact as far as how to share that with me so that I can see what you're doing throughout the next few weeks. Let's see here. Then make sure, after that, the differentiated instruction that I discussed earlier is due at the end of this week here. So make sure you've got it's due the same time as you're doing your communications and your blindness. So you've got 2 chapters that week. That's why I'd suggest you get going on that early and maybe have it done by the time you have to turn that in. Next week you'll be looking at communication disorders in chapter 8 and blindness and low vision in chapter 10. You'll have the typical discussion board and quizzes for those 2 chapters, but don't forget you'll also have your observation report that you should be putting together. It'll be due here in a couple weeks. As far as the observation report, we go ahead and pull up. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my copy of the rubric in front of me. Let me go ahead and put that over here. There we go. The observation report needs to follow the rubric closely. I'll be grading 16 reports that should be within 4 to 6 pages in length. This means it will also take me about 2 weeks to grade these reports. So as I get them in, I'll go ahead and start grading them, but then I go back through them when I get done, because it is a long process. To make sure that I'm fair in my grading, I will go back through before I actually post your grade. Make sure that you have only one document that you turn in. Everything that you do will need to be somehow digitally brought into the one paper. You'll have the cover page, which is right there in your report. Signed permission forms from all the different sites. If you went to 2 different sites, you'll have 2 permission forms. If you had 4 different sites you observed, you'll have 4 different permission forms. Each of your settings, whether it be regular ed or special education, will need to follow this guideline. So first of all, if I was writing my paper, I'd look at the regular education site and I would do the setting. How was it structured? Maybe even include a picture, a diagram within your paper that shows where you were sitting according to the class, and then if that class is where you observed for your structured observation, then by all means put where your person was sitting in with that. Make sure that you explain how the classroom looks, what the feeling is of the classroom. Then, what strategies did the teachers utilize to teach the student? You're in there for 3 hours. There should be plenty of things that teacher will do. You'll be very surprised as you look back at how the teacher taught and what type of strategies he or she used, depending on what students she had, depending on what subject she was teaching. Then what strategies or teaching techniques did you observe that would implement in your own classroom? So there, you look at what you observed that day in that regular ed classroom and what things, and many times it's hard for some of the students to come up with just one thing. So, think of all the different strategies that you did and tell me about them. Which ones do you want to make sure and remember to put into your classroom when you get started? There may be 5 or 6. Whatever you think. Make sure and tell me why you would implement. Why did they appeal to you that you want to use them in your classroom? Next, were there any issues with classroom management? If there were, describe them to me. Make sure that I can see what's going on and describe them to me. And then tell me what the teacher did. How did she handle the situation? Now, I want to go back. I had some students say, well, I didn't see a behavior. I didn't see an issue. Well, then tell me why you think you didn't see an issue with classroom management. Tell me why. What did the teacher do so well that our kids listened to her every single minute of the day and were doing everything that she wanted them to do throughout the whole day? Tell me why. So it doesn't have to be something bad that happened. If they didn't, tell me why you don't think it happened that way. Okay, then the structured observation. If you did it in the regular classroom, so you're sitting in a regular classroom, you and the teacher have talked, and you found your special education student that you want to do your structured observation on. You do your 20 minutes. You do all the data. Tell me about it. Give me a paragraph or two on what happened during that structured observation time frame. Tell me how many minutes they were out of seat. Tell me how many minutes they were off task. Tell me those things. Give me the data. Show me what you did. And attach your hours fulfilled and all those documents at the very end. But one of the most important things that some students forget is that last one. What did you notice that you feel you need to learn more about before teaching as it relates to special ed students? Tell me, after the observation in the regular classroom, what do you see that you really need to know more about as it pertains to special education students before you start teaching? Give me a paragraph or two on what you really felt you need to know more about. Okay? Then, that report is done. The regular education report's done. Scroll down to the next page, whatever you want to do, and then your special education section. You've already done your cover page, so you don't need that. Report the setting of the special education classroom. What did it look like? How many were it set up as desks? Was it set up as tables? Was there a pair in the classroom, or were there two pairs in the classroom? Did the students sit in groups? Did they sit individually? What did it look like? Were there posters on the wall? Was the lighting good? Was it near a window where there was distractions, or was it near, whatever? Tell me so that I can visually see what your classroom looked like. What was the setting? Then think about what strategies the teacher used to teach the students in that special education class. Tell me about all the strategies that special education teacher used. Then, after telling me about it, what strategies or teaching techniques did you see in that special education class that you want to remember so that when you have your classroom, you want to utilize those same strategies that teacher did? Tell me about them, okay? And make sure you tell me why they appeal to you. Why is it that you want to remember how that special education taught Jimmy or Sarah? Why do you want to do that? Okay? And then you're at the question on classroom management. Tell me what happened in that classroom that the teacher had to handle that you would consider classroom management, and how did she handle them? So tell me what happened. Tell me how the teacher handled it. And again, if there weren't any issues, great. Tell me why. Tell me what the teacher did to make sure that everybody was on task during every minute of that 3-hour observation. Tell me why. Tell me those things. Then, if you didn't do your structured observation in the regular classroom, then you need to do a structured observation in the special ed classroom. You just have to do one of the structured observations. So just make sure, and definitely tell me. I've had a couple where I've had to search, where is that structured observation? Tell me about it. Make sure to include the data. Make sure and tell me all of those things that happened and why. And then at the end, tell me a little bit about what you learned. On that document, there are some questions that you can answer and put into the structured observation section of your report. And then at the end of that day, the end of that report, what did you notice that you feel you need to learn more about before teaching as it relates to special education students? What do you see that you still need to learn a lot about as it pertains to special ed students after watching that special education teacher in the classroom? So that is it. It should be the two combined reports should be at least 2 pages. I've seen many, probably an average is 3, and so normally it's easily 6 pages in length. 12-point double space, 1-inch margins, and that does not include your 5 pages or whatever. It does not include the cover page, any of your signatures, of course, all of those items there. And it's 300 points. So make sure you're getting enough documentation, enough data, enough description in there to make sure that I can see all of those points. So that there is that. It is due there. Let me see what's on here. So I still have it up on my calendar here. Well, I guess we'll have to look. Observation report is due July 16th. So you're looking about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, somewhere around there. I'll give you some more updates later on. But make sure and ask questions if you have any questions on that. There is an audio file inside the folder for that one for you to look at too. Okay. Tech item, I don't really have anything techy for you. I just suggest again that you look through the Pinterest, OneNote, and Evernote. Let me know which one you're going to use. Choose one and get started. Saving those differentiated instruction items. Let's see here if I had anything. Again, quizzes are doing great job. All of you on those that have already taken the quizzes and are getting there. I'll be looking at discussion posts for this last week, Monday afternoon, Tuesday into Wednesday probably. It'll take a little bit longer to grade those since it was a little bit more, it wasn't just you had to have one answer. There's going to be several that are, as long as they're realistic, I can probably make it work, but I want to make sure that you did add to discussions. Remember that rubric for the discussion boards. I'll really be hitting that hard this week to make sure that everybody's adding to the discussion for the post, because there's still some out. Hope this week is better for those that have kind of found it a struggle to get everything done. Just remember to get your initial post up by Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and I'll let you get going. Thanks again. Have a great week. Bye-bye.